Have you ever felt like your energy is fading faster than it used to, even on days when you don't really do much? Maybe you wake up after what seems like a full night's rest, but instead of feeling refreshed, you feel like you ran a marathon in your dreams. Or maybe it's the middle of the afternoon, and suddenly, you're not just tired. You feel like someone pressed the off switch and left you blinking at the TV with no idea what just happened. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. I've talked to so many folks over the age of 60 who say the exact same thing. I'm always tired and I don't know why. And that kind of tired isn't just physical. It's the kind of deep, lingering fatigue that doesn't go away with a nap. It wears on your mood, your motivation, and your sense of joy. Now, it's easy to blame all this on getting older. That's what I used to think too. Just part of aging, right? But the more I looked into it, the more I realized that's not the full story. Yes, our bodies change as we age, but many of the reasons we feel tired all the time actually have nothing to do with the number on our birthday cake. And more importantly, a lot of them are fixable. No, not with magic pills or 6 a.m. workouts, thank goodness, but with simple awareness and small, practical changes that anyone can make. So today, let's sit down together, just you and me, and talk about what's really going on. I want to walk you through some of the surprising, often overlooked reasons why you might feel like a zombie in cozy slippers. And I'll be honest with you, it's not just about sleep. It's about how we live, how we think, and even how we eat and move. You might find yourself nodding along, maybe even laughing a little, because some of these hit close to home. But more importantly, I hope they'll help you see that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not lazy, you're not weak, and you're definitely not alone. There's just some stuff we need to shine a light on. And once we do, we can take that first step toward waking up with more energy and joy. So, let's start with something simple. Water. I know. You've heard it 1,000 times. Drink more water. But let me tell you about Frank. Frank's in his 70s, sharp as a tack, full of stories. One afternoon, we were chatting and he said, "I drink plenty of water. Had a glass this morning with my pills." That was at 9 a.m. We were talking at nearly 4 in the afternoon. I asked him, "And since then?" He blinked at me and said, "Well, I had soup for lunch." That was it. See, when we were younger, our bodies gave us loud, clear signs when we needed water. Dry mouth, thirst, that parched feeling in the back of your throat. But as we age, those signals get quieter. Sometimes, by the time you feel thirsty, your body's already in survival mode. Dehydration doesn't always come with bells and whistles. It creeps in quietly. And before you know it, you're foggy, cranky, tired, and falling asleep in your chair at 2 p.m., wondering why you have zero energy. One woman told me her mom kept nodding off during the day, and they feared the worst, maybe early dementia. Turned out she was just slightly dehydrated all the time. Once she started sipping water throughout the day, not chugging it, just sipping, she was like a new person. Awake during the day, sleeping better at night. Now, I get it. Drinking more water sounds great in theory until you remember where that water goes. The bathroom, frequently. And nobody wants to spend their golden years on constant bladder alert. But staying hydrated doesn't mean you have to guzzle a gallon at once. It's about small, steady sips. Keep a glass nearby. Add lemon, mint, cucumber, whatever makes it more inviting. Call it your spa tonic if you want. But treat it like a little daily act of care. Your body will thank you for it. Now let me ask you this. Have you ever had a day where you didn't really do much, just sat around reading, maybe watched a bit of TV, and by dinner, you feel absolutely wiped out? Like you've been pulling weeds or running errands all day even though you barely moved from your favorite chair? That doesn't make sense on paper, but it makes total sense when you understand how your body works. Stillness isn't always restful. In fact, if we stay still too long, our body starts shutting things down. Your circulation slows, muscles get stiff, joints feel like they've rusted overnight. Your body thinks, "Oh, we're done for the day? Cool, I'll go into power saving mode." And that's when the fatigue sets in. It's not because you did too much, it's because you didn't do enough. Not enough to keep your system awake, flowing, alive. That doesn't mean you have to join a gym or start training for a marathon. Let me be clear, this isn't about workouts. It's about motion. Gentle, meaningful movement. One guy told me he has a trick. Every time a commercial comes on during a show, he stands up and stretches. A couple of toe touches, a little marching in place, maybe a shoulder roll or two. He said it wakes him up better than coffee. And he's not doing it to burn calories. He's doing it to remind his body, "Hey, we're still here. Let's keep moving." You could stretch while brushing your teeth, take a walk to the mailbox instead of letting it pile up, or just stand up while you talk on the phone. These tiny choices send a message to your brain and body: we're not done yet. We've still got things to do. And with that, your energy starts to rise, not because you pushed harder, but because you moved smarter. Of course, sometimes it's not your body at all. Sometimes it's something deeper, something quieter. You know what I mean. That invisible weight in your chest. That quiet hum of worry you can't quite shake. The thoughts that come in the middle of the night, or just hover in the back of your mind during the day. Things like, am I forgetting more than I used to? Will my money last? What happens if I get sick and no one's around? This kind of stress doesn't come with loud alarms. It's not the panic attack type. It's the silent kind. The type that just lives in your shoulders, tightens your chest, makes your jaw clench without realizing it. And the worst part? We often don't even call it stress. We just call it life. Retirement is supposed to be peaceful, right? But for many people, it brings new fears and deeper silence. And that emotional weight? It's heavy. Heavier than we give it credit for. And it drains you. One woman told me she started writing her worries down every night before bed. Folded the paper up, said, "That's tomorrow's problem," and dropped it in a shoebox she called her worry vault. She said she hadn't slept that well in years. And you know what? There's something powerful about naming your stress, putting it on paper, sharing it with someone, or even just saying it out loud to yourself. Because once you name it, you can begin to loosen its grip. Fatigue isn't just about muscles or sleep or blood pressure. It's also about the invisible things we carry. The thoughts, the fears, the griefs we've never quite unpacked. But here's the thing. You don't have to carry it all alone. Even just acknowledging it, taking 5 quiet minutes to breathe, journal, or talk to a friend, that can lighten the load more than you'd believe. And when that invisible weight starts to lift, even just a little, something incredible happens. Your energy starts to return. Not all at once. But you wake up one day and realize you don't feel quite as heavy. That's not just progress. That's healing. That's reclaiming your spark. Let's keep going. There's something else we need to talk about, and it's probably hiding right in your kitchen. Because sometimes the thing that's draining your energy is sitting right there on your plate. Or worse, in your snack drawer. Now, I'm not here to criticize anyone's favorite comfort foods. Trust me, I love a good slice of toast with jelly, or a bowl of cereal late at night just as much as the next person. There's something about those familiar tastes that feels safe and soothing. But here's the tricky part. Some of the foods we think are comforting are actually doing us more harm than good when it comes to energy. Let me tell you about a man I spoke with recently. Mid-70s, sharp dresser, had a routine he loved. Every morning, 2 slices of white toast with jam, 1 banana, and a cup of coffee. Sounds fine, right? But about an hour later, like clockwork, he'd find himself nodding off in his recliner with the TV still on. He thought it was just his age catching up with him, until his doctor pointed out that his breakfast was basically a sugar bomb. All quick-burning fuel. No staying power. That's the thing. Simple carbs like white bread, sugary spreads, processed cereal, They give you a quick spike of energy, then drop you flat just as fast. It's like lighting a match in a windstorm. Bright for a second, and then gone. And when your blood sugar crashes, so does your energy. It leaves you sluggish, unfocused, and often craving more sugar just to get back on track. And don't even get me started on those low-fat snacks we were all told to eat back in the 80s and 90s. Crackers, rice cakes, fat-free cookies. We thought we were being healthy, but now we know fat isn't the enemy. In fact, healthy fats, like those in avocado, olive oil, nuts, and even full-fat yogurt, help keep our energy steady. They help our brain function, our mood stay balanced, and our blood sugar avoid those roller coaster dips that leave us feeling wiped out. One woman I spoke with said she started adding a hard-boiled egg and a handful of almonds to her lunch. Nothing fancy. But after a week, she told me, "I swear I feel 10 years younger." That's the power of real food: protein, fiber, healthy fats. They give your body the kind of fuel that lasts all day, not just for 20 minutes. If you've been feeling tired even though you're eating regular meals, the problem might not be how much you're eating, it might be what you're eating. Take a look at your usual snacks and meals. Do they leave you feeling satisfied or sleepy? Energized or empty? Small shifts, like switching toast for whole grain, swapping juice for water, or adding protein to your snacks, can make a big difference. But even if you eat well and drink enough water, there's something else that might be stealing your energy. And it's one of the most frustrating parts of getting older: sleep. Or more accurately, the quality of your sleep. Now, I know many of you might say, "Oh, I get 8 hours a night, I'm fine." And maybe you do. But here's the catch. Just because you're in bed for 8 hours doesn't mean your body is doing the deep healing it's supposed to. There's a huge difference between sleep and deep sleep. And unfortunately, as we age, getting into that deep restorative sleep stage becomes harder. You might fall asleep quickly, but then you're up 2 or 3 times during the night to use the bathroom because of aches and pains, or because your mind just won't stop spinning. Or maybe you leave the TV on for background noise thinking it helps. But that little glow and hum can keep your brain slightly alert even when your eyes are closed. One man I know, he's been falling asleep to late-night TV for years, said he started waking up feeling more exhausted than when he went to bed. When he finally turned off the TV and tried a white noise machine instead, plus a magnesium supplement his doctor recommended, something changed. He told me, "I had my first dream in years. I forgot what dreaming even felt like." That's how important deep sleep is. It's the time when your brain clears out the clutter, your muscles rebuild, and your body restores itself. Without it, you're just lying down in the dark, not really healing. And when you wake up, your battery isn't full, it's stuck at 20%, no matter how many hours you spent in bed. So, if you find yourself waking up tired every day, or if you feel groggy even after a good night's sleep, it might be time to look at your sleep environment. Make the room as dark as possible. Cut back on screen time right before bed. Try gentle stretches or calming music. And if you suspect pain, blood sugar, or anxiety are keeping you from sleeping deeply, don't be afraid to talk to your doctor. There are gentle, natural ways to support better sleep. You just have to know where to start. Still, even with the right food, enough water, and better sleep, there's another factor that doesn't get talked about enough. And this one might surprise you. It's simple, easy, and yet many of us go days without it. Time outside. Yes, really. Just stepping outdoors can change everything. I once read a comment from a man who started sitting on his porch every morning for just 15 minutes with a cup of coffee. He didn't walk, didn't exercise, didn't do anything fancy, just sat outside and listened to the birds while the sun came up. After a week, he said he felt more alive, more grounded, more awake. And that makes sense. Our bodies run on something called a circadian rhythm, our internal clock that tells us when to wake up, when to wind down, when to feel alert. And that clock is powered by sunlight. Without real light, your body gets confused. It doesn't know when to release melatonin. It doesn't know when to energize you. So you end up sleepy in the morning, wide awake at night, and tired all day. But it's not just about light. There's something about fresh air too. Being outside helps you breathe deeper. Your mind clears up. You start to feel connected to the world again, even if all you're doing is watching squirrels hop around in the yard. Vitamin D is a part of this too. Many older adults are deficient and don't even know it. And that deficiency can affect your mood, your energy, your immune system. Sometimes what you need isn't another supplement. It's just 10 minutes of sunshine on your skin. It's letting your body soak in a little bit of the natural world. It's free. It's powerful. And it's something most of us could use a lot more of. So, if your days have started to blend together, if you're feeling stuck, sluggish, or emotionally flat, try this. Tomorrow morning, go outside. Just for a little while. No goal, no chore. Just be there. Let the sun hit your face. Feel the breeze. Notice what's blooming or changing in the trees. It doesn't need to be a grand adventure. Sometimes the smallest dose of nature can revive something deep inside you. Because the truth is, we're not meant to live our whole lives inside. We're not houseplants. We're living, breathing people with rhythms that need light, movement, and connection to stay strong. And when we ignore those needs, our energy starts to fade. Not because we're old, but because we're out of sync. But don't worry. You're not stuck. These things are simple, and they're yours to reclaim. One walk to the mailbox, one good breakfast, one quiet night's sleep at a time. Let's take a breath. There's still more to explore, and one reason in particular that's sneakier than all the rest. And this next one is sneaky, because it doesn't always show up on a test or in a conversation. But it's quietly, constantly draining your battery. It's what happens when your body isn't getting the nutrients it needs. Not because you're not eating enough, but because your body isn't absorbing them the way it used to. See, as we get older, our digestion changes. Even if you're eating a well-balanced diet, your body might not be pulling in the vitamins and minerals the way it once did. Things like B12, vitamin D, iron, and magnesium. These are like the spark plugs of your system. Without them, you can feel foggy, weak, tired, or like you're dragging your feet through molasses. And you might not even realize why. I remember reading about a man who said he felt like he was walking through mud all day, every day. He chalked it up to age, just like so many of us do. But his daughter finally convinced him to get some blood work done. Turns out he was low in B12, vitamin D, and iron, 3 of the most common deficiencies in older adults. After a few weeks of the right supplements and dietary changes, he said it felt like someone turned the lights back on inside his body. That's how essential these nutrients are. B12 helps with energy production and nerve function. Vitamin D supports your muscles, your mood, and your immune system. Magnesium helps you relax and sleep, and iron is what carries oxygen in your blood. If any of these are running low, and they often do quietly, it's no wonder you feel like you're running on fumes. The tough part is, these deficiencies can be subtle. You might not notice right away. Maybe you're just a little more forgetful. Maybe your arms and legs feel heavier than usual. Maybe you're just not bouncing back the way you used to. It's easy to shrug it off as just aging. But sometimes it's not your age, it's your body whispering, "Hey, I need a little help here." So if you haven't had your vitamin levels checked in a while, it might be worth asking your doctor. You don't need a cabinet full of pills, but you do need to know what your body's missing. Because when those levels get back to where they should be, it can feel like rediscovering your energy from the inside out. Now I want to talk about something that hits a little closer to the heart. Something that doesn't show up in a blood test or a fitness tracker. It's that feeling when life starts to feel flat. Not sad exactly, just a little colorless. You wake up, you eat, you clean, maybe flip through the channels or read a little. But that spark, that excitement, that reason to get up and really live the day, It's missing. This kind of tiredness doesn't come from your body. It comes from your soul. And it's one of the hardest to talk about because it sneaks up slowly. Maybe you retired and suddenly didn't know what to do with your time. Maybe the kids are busy with their own lives. Maybe you lost someone who used to fill the room with laughter. And now, the silence feels heavy. One man told me, "I don't feel depressed. I just don't feel much of anything." That quiet emptiness, that's a kind of fatigue too. Emotional fatigue. The kind that creeps in when joy gets pushed aside for too long. Because here's the truth. Energy isn't just physical. It's emotional too. And without something to light you up from the inside, everything starts to feel harder. But here's the good news. That spark isn't gone. It's still there, waiting. Sometimes it just needs a nudge. A woman I know started painting again for the first time since the 1980s. Her hands were slower, her eyes not as sharp, but she said, "For the first time in years, I feel like me again." That's what joy does. It wakes you up. You don't have to climb a mountain or travel the world. Sometimes joy looks like growing a tomato on your porch and checking it every morning, or baking a family recipe just because it smells like home, or playing a silly card game, volunteering once a week, relearning a song on the piano. Joy doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. And when you find that spark again, when you give yourself permission to smile, to be silly, to try something new, you'll be amazed how your energy follows. Because joy isn't a reward. It's a power source. And you deserve to feel alive, not just getting by. Of course, there's one more culprit that's a little less joyful, and that's your medicine cabinet. If you're taking multiple medications, first of all, no judgment. Many of us are. Blood pressure, cholesterol, sleep, digestion, it adds up over the years. But here's the thing. Just because your doctor prescribed it doesn't mean it's working with the rest of your body. And it definitely doesn't mean it's working with the other meds you're taking. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, "I thought it was just my age." But then they got a medication review and discovered two of their prescriptions were clashing. One made them sleepy, the other made them jittery, or one blocked the absorption of a vitamin they needed, or their blood pressure meds were dropping their energy too low. One woman told me she took her entire list to a pharmacist, not just her doctor, and it was eye-opening. The pharmacist noticed two drugs that were canceling each other out. Once her doses were adjusted and one unnecessary pill was removed, she said, "I didn't even realize how foggy I'd been until the fog lifted." And that's the point. Sometimes it's not about adding more. It's about removing what's draining you. So, if you're on a handful of prescriptions and still feeling tired all the time, don't be afraid to ask for a full review. Bring a list. Ask questions. And consider talking to your pharmacist. They often catch things that slip past in quick appointments. Your energy matters. You deserve to feel clear, strong, and steady, not weighed down by a chemical tug-of-war happening quietly inside you. Now, before we wrap up, there's one last thing I want to say. And maybe it's the most important of all. Sometimes, what we really need is more joy. Yes, really. Not another pill, not another appointment. Just joy. The real kind. The kind that makes you laugh out loud or smile for no reason. The kind that makes your heart feel full again. I've seen people transform, not because of some miracle cure, but because they let themselves do something just for the fun of it. A man adopted a senior cat. He said, "We nap at the same time. It's perfect." Another started writing silly poetry. Bad poetry, he said, but it made him laugh. That laughter, that connection, that's energy. Joy doesn't ask for permission. It just needs a little room to grow. So if life has started to feel like a long list of chores and doctor visits, if the days are blending together, give yourself one gift, something fun, something delightful, something useless even. But if it makes you feel alive, That's the most useful thing there is. Because being tired all the time doesn't have to be your new normal. You deserve better than that. You deserve to feel awake, aware, and wonderfully alive. So, if any part of this spoke to you, whether it was the part about sleep or movement or finding your joy again, I want you to know you're not broken. You're not too late. And you are absolutely not alone. You're just human. And your spark? It's still there, waiting for you to notice it again. Try one small change this week. Just one. Drink more water. Step outside. Add a little protein. Dance in the kitchen. Laugh at something silly. Check in with your doctor. And most of all, be kind to yourself. That's where the energy begins. And if this video helped you in any way, go ahead and give it a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel Strong Elderly Life so we can keep having these conversations together. And if you have a moment, share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear what's helped you feel more alive, or what you're still trying to figure out. We're all in this together. Here's to living your best life, at any age. You've earned it. Take care. And don't forget to laugh a little today.